What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Nickel City Rush Hour. Tonight, we're going to get into our expectations for the Buffalo Bills in the upcoming 2024 season, and we'll also talk a little bit about some of the undrafted free agents that the Bills signed this past week. All that and more right after this. What is up, everyone? Welcome to a beautiful Sunday evening. I am Mike Thornton, and joining me, as always, is my co-host Jake Podger. Jake, how you doing, man? We had, took Wednesday off, and we're just doing Sunday shows for a little bit until we get in the training camp. But what'd you do with that extra time, man?
Whole lot of landscaping this past week, Mike. The back's hurting a little bit, but the end result was good. The wife is super pregnant right now, and going to be about a month and a half out here from having another little one running around the house. Well, not running around the house, but in the house at least.
So have you, is the nursery ready? That's the most important thing. You have that?
Yeah, it's getting there. You know, we got a couple things to add and, make it look a little prettier. But for the most part, it's pretty much all set. Now, I am pitching that we put a giant fat head of Josh Allen in the room. She's like, absolutely not. I do not want a 27-year-old man staring over our infant son. I said, I mean, if there's going to be anyone staring over your son, I mean, that's probably the guy you want, right? I mean, this is, you
want him
king.
You want that guy protecting him. So,
right.
I mean, have you decided on a name? I know you haven't told us. Is this still a secret, or have we kind of come up with a name? I mean, that
you know what? No, we are at square one again, and we have not come up with the name. Now, I will say this. I have some terrible news to break because my wife says we're not going to do an M first name. So the MVP dream is probably dead for baby number 2. And, I hate that too, because it's like you could have 2 MVPs. Now you're going to have one kid who's an MVP, and then your other kid, what do you tell him? Like, you're still an MVP in my eyes, but your initials are not MVP, right? So that's tough.
I mean, that's going to be tough. Tough conversation at some point. Maybe we can get the wife on the pod and we can kind of talk her through it. Let's get her on here.
Nightmare.
We won't talk any football. We'll just talk about the names for a boy and how MVP, how the daughter's going to have an edge, and always probably be teasing her brother about the fact that dad named me MVP. I can see that. I can see that happening.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
So Big L back from his vacation.
He's back. Yeah, they came back yesterday, and he went from like 3 different time zones back to back within the last week. So they went from Australia, which is 14 hours ahead of where we're at here in Buffalo. I think it's obviously a 3-hour difference for you, Mike, so 11 hours. Then he goes to New Zealand, which is 16-hour difference from us. And then from New Zealand to Tahiti, which is like a 6-hour time difference behind us then. And then a 5-hour time difference at some points that they were at Hawaii. So he's been all over the grid, and he's finally back here in Buffalo, New York. And I don't know how they're dealing with that switch over. So
he's got to be super tired. But
his birthday tomorrow.
Oh, all right. Happy early birthday, Big L. And glad to see you back on the pod. Big L's one of the longest supporter. He's been there since day one when you joined us, Jake.
Yep.
So fantastic. Trek reviewer out there. He's always talking smack about my guy, Cam. And I'll tell you what, this is a year I'm going to be a little nervous for Cam. I will say that. He's saying sign Gilmore, cut Cam. But I don't know. Cam seems to always show up, and he's so versatile It's going to be hard again to knock him off the squad, but there are some players that have been drafted, or at least one in particular, that has me a little concerned, and we'll get into that a little bit. Weston, good to see you. Are we going to pull a Sean and come up with funny screen names?
I don't think so.
That's an exclusive for Sean. We can't take that away from him. He does
right.
Fantastic with those screen names. And then he said, hold on, Mike Burton. I did not play DT for the Steelers. Laugh out
Went
loud.
to Georgia, that guy, too, by the way.
So is there a guy, Mike Thornton, now playing for the...
There is. I don't think he's currently on the Steelers anymore. Or is he?
Okay.
Is he?
Well, if he's retired...
He was there a long time, like 6 years, maybe, now? Like 2017, I want to say it was, Trek Reviewer. Is that correct?
We might be related, but no, that was not me on the field. I'm sorry to say.
Well, let's see the old height and weight. 6'1", 291, actually. So Aaron Donald size,
Definitely not me. Sorry, Trek Reviewer.
And yeah, he is no longer in the league. But yes, he did play for the Steelers from 2015 to 2017. So I wasn't too far off there. Nice.
So I plan to get to Buffalo sometime in the next few months, Jake, just letting you know.
Okay.
So I can get those wings you owe me and then see all the folks there. Hopefully meet up with Brett and Sean and maybe even some of the other guys here that are out there in the close to the Buffalo area. It'd be great to meet Trek and whoever else might be close enough to come meet up with us at one of the great wing places out there in Buffalo.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So Jake, I want to get into this a little bit. And, Beane, when he's met with the press, he's kind of said, hey, we're in a transition year. And it got me thinking, when I hear that as a fan, I'm like, what are you telling me, Brandon Beane? Should I set my expectations low for the upcoming year? Should I expect the Bills not to be competing for a Super Bowl? Because when you hear transition, some people might hear rebuild, and they're similar. Don't get me wrong, but a rebuild is much more invasive, where you're pretty much starting from ground zero. But we're not doing that, Jake. So let me ask you, when you hear that word transition, what do you think?
The transition term is just transitioning to newer and younger players. That's how I take it. I don't take it as a rebuild. We're retooling. And in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, as long as Josh Allen is your quarterback, you are always a contender. Now, maybe the weapons are a little bit more green, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to produce. It just means that we're going to have to tailor our expectations most likely with their production. It's not going to be Steph Diggs numbers per se, but maybe other guys step up like Dalton Kincaid. Maybe he has a 100 catch season. Maybe he has 1,300 yards this year. It might come in different ways. The production, you may see it spread out a little bit differently. It might not just be all one player. So when I hear transition, I don't take that as a negative connotation whatsoever. I see it as an opportunity for this team to transition to the next phase, right? So these first, let's call it since 2020, right? Because that's when Josh Allen sort of put his name on the map as the guy, right? And this is really all in relative terms to Josh Allen's career. So from 2020 to 2023, we had the Steph Diggs and Josh Allen era, right? Now, moving forward, I think we got a little bit of the Dalton Kincaid era and whoever else, James Cook maybe, with Josh Allen. So it's cool because now we have some younger talent. We finally have, I think, a running back one. We have a really good tight end who has potential to be one of the best tight ends in Bills history, in my opinion. And then we have some other weapons that are surrounding him that are solid. So otherwise, we lost our two incredible safeties that have been here since 2017. So that's another transition, right? We're transitioning to a younger group there. We drafted Cole Bishop out of Utah. We re-signed Taylor Rapp, who is still relatively new to the defense. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that those guys are going to play worse. It just means that it's, there's new faces in those roles.
Yeah, and I want to go through the different position groups and kind of compare last year's starting lineup, actually this past January starting lineup against the Chiefs, and who we assume are going to be the starting guys this year, 2024, and kind of talk ourselves through whether we're better at the position group, whether we're worse, and at the end of this, see if you make me feel a little bit better. Look. Yeah. I'm a fan, no matter what. My expectation, especially with Josh Allen, is we are in the playoffs. Once you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. If you want to talk about a transition, I mean, look, last year, the Chiefs, this past year, this was supposed to be the year you could beat the Chiefs. It really was. And I've heard people saying Sean, by the way, if you didn't see Sean's show last night, fantastic job. He had Coach Cameron Goodson on there for the first 15 minutes. It got me excited about Kean Coleman, and he comped him to Dez Bryant from the Cowboys. Dez Bryant was a stud, a guy who wasn't known for separation, but my goodness, loved everything that he said. So check out the first 15 minutes and watch the rest of the show because Sean had an amazing show last night. So good stuff there. But let's see, Weston's saying, just like the Chiefs post Tyreek, next phase. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think, what is it? The year after Tyreek, I think that was the year they didn't get to the Super Bowl, right? That was the year that Bengals came in.
No. Actually, no, they did.
Was
so
it right
they got
after?
rid of Tyreek. Yeah. I mean, they're on a back-to-back Super Bowl.
Okay. I couldn't remember when that happened.
Yeah. So yes. That was supposed to be the initial year, right? And then can they repeat? No chance, right? And they do.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And honestly, you look at that wide receiver class room for the Chiefs last year, I put our Bills wide receiver group from this year much better than that group. Yeah. So it can be done, and people are going to be like, you're not the Chiefs, you're not Pat Mahomes, you're not Andy Reid, you're not Steve, you don't have Steve Spagnuolo. I get all that, but they've proved it can be done. So let's get into the different groups. And first of all, I'm going to start with a source that I trust a lot, and that's Vegas. Las Vegas. They may not be right all the time because they've had the Bills as the favorites, I think a couple of years ago, and actually in the past couple of years. And obviously we didn't win. When we lost to the New York Giants in the 1990 Super Bowl, we were 14-point favorites. I think we were big favorites. I can't remember if it was 14, but we were huge favorites in that. So they don't always get it right. But let me tell you who they have projected to win the Super Bowl. Their favorite is the 49ers. And it's very close. Then they have the Chiefs a close second. Why they have the Niners slightly ahead of them, I don't know. But the Niners have been there. And they might have had a better draft this year. They might like who they've signed. But yeah, they got the Niners, the Chiefs, and the Ravens. Makes sense, right? Those are all the three top teams you would have said last year. I think they've all gotten better with their drafts. Then they have the Bills, the Bengals, and the Lions kind of lumped in there. There is a nice little drop-off after those top three. But again, depending on when you look, what day you look, you'll see the Lions as the number 14. You'll see the Bills. But right now, the Bills, Bengals, and Lions are that next tier. They're all about the same. And then from there, it goes Eagles, Cowboys, Texans, Packers, Dolphins, Falcons, Jets. So Vegas still thinks this Buffalo Bills team's a contender. And why doubt Vegas, right?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, if they still see something, that we should still see something in this team, right? I mean, Vegas knows a lot of things that we don't necessarily always know, and you can call it rigged if you'd like, but if you are even on that train, I mean, you got to think like, hey, maybe the Bills won't be so bad this year.
Yeah, exactly. They have to be good at what they do. They have to be.
Right.
So Weston's saying, yeah, we're 7-0 in the playoffs post Tyreek.
Crazy, man. Yeah, that's actually incredible. And that really is a testament to coaching too, I feel like. You guys just have such good management, and man, maybe one of the best head coaches of this era, and then you have Steve Spagnuolo as your DC. That always helps.
For sure. Truck reviewer, Chase Claypool was a great pickup because he was a standout on special teams in college. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that. Let's wait till we get to the wide receiver room, and then we can bring up Chase and our thoughts on him. And then Big L saying, I had a Chiefs fan come up to me and thank me for letting the Chiefs pick Worthy. I hope Coleman proves to be better draft pick so I can tell the Chiefs Beane knew what he was doing. So, Jake, if you remember early on in the season when we were doing pre-draft stuff, we did a short of Xavier Worthy to the Buffalo Bills. And I think did pretty well. But after the Chiefs got him, I don't know how many times I had to go in there and, Chiefs fans coming in there and say, thank you so much. And look, he goes to the Chiefs. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Buffalo. Yeah. So it was kind of funny. Yeah, we've heard that. I think there's two right now that's going to be under the microscope. They got Jaden Hicks at safety, a guy that was on our list. And I think Weston posted in the Discord, by the way, join the Discord. If you want to talk football 24/7, 7 days a week, jump in the Discord. It's free to join. The link is in the description of the show. But so And Jaden Hicks, Cole Bishop, and then
Yep.
you got Keaton Coleman and Worthy. So it's going to be very interesting. Those two are going to be under the microscope. But so we'll wait and see. I remember somebody already posted in the Discord yesterday where Worthy was going for, I think it was a quick out, and he dropped the ball.
I
But then,
saw that. I've seen
right?
that
Did you see
everywhere.
that?
And it's like the Bills fleeced the Chiefs in this trade. And then,
Yeah, exactly.
meanwhile, you got Weston sending another video where he looks like explosive as hell. You know, they did that
Yeah.
during Jamar Chase's rookie year, too. Like in training camp, he was dropping a bunch of passes. Then he went on to have an incredible rookie year. And now look at him. He's a top 5 receiver in the NFL. So, yeah, don't get too set on that. Either side, I would say, right?
Exactly. Because then the next one that he showed, the next video, was like, oh, watch out, because that was pretty impressive on the route that he ran. And then when he caught it and took off, like he had jets behind him. Let's see here. Stefan, good to see you, sir. They'll all be sleeping until training camp. Then the lines will shift.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, because there's still moves to be made, right? After June 1st, when there's some vets could get released, which they will get released. And it'll be interesting to see what happens there, because that can definitely help a team, especially the line with Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see here. Morning, me. I'm Linda West. Good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, it's been a while. Good to see you out there, Linda.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hope things are going extremely well for you. And let's see here. Weston says, yeah, I'm not really into the Bills-Chiefs trade like a lot of Chiefs fans are. We got what we wanted, and the Bills got Dwayne Carter in the 3rd round. So it's a win-win. I kind of agree with that. Like I was saying since draft night, the Chiefs were going to get a good wide receiver. They really were. There were so many good ones still left. They could have taken Leggett, Troy Franklin. They could have taken A.D. Mitchell. There were so many. They could have taken Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
So the fact that they get the fastest guy in the combine, 4.21, really doesn't mean a darn thing. He is a smaller guy, and just because you are the fastest guy in the combine, go look at history, doesn't mean it's going to equate to having a fantastic career in the NFL. Jake, I know you know that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it happened a million times with the Oakland Raiders and Las Vegas Raiders, I should say now. But Al Davis, you could count on him taking the fastest receiver every year, and very rarely did it pan out. So, you know, you look back at those years, and I know that doesn't always seem to be the case, right? And I do think Xavier Worthy is more than just that type of guy. To me, he is Deshaun Jackson 2.0, and that's a little scary because, by the way, Andy Reid coached Deshaun Jackson, and he had his best years as a Philadelphia Eagle. So, don't want to speak too soon, but I do think he's going to be a good player in this league. There's no doubt.
All right. Well, let's get into those position groups and just kind of talk through it and see what we think last year's team versus this year's team. And let's start on the defensive side. And let's start with those trench players, defensive tackles, the interior guys, right?
Yep.
Last year, starting for us was Daquan Jones. Now, Daquan Jones in that Kansas City game had just, I think a game before, had just come back, or 2 games before, with a torn pec, right? Didn't even think he was going to be back. He made it back. He wasn't 100% himself. That was obvious. But he's back. He's back for 2 more years with the Bills as of right now. Ed Oliver as well next to him. And as far as starting interior guys, they're exactly the same. Daquan Jones a little older now, another year older. And will he have recovered fully from that torn pec? And we'll see. But I think the guys behind him, like for instance, last year we had Poona Ford, we had Tim Settle. Settle we had signed for 2 years, and the guy just never came through. Jake, he never did. Paid him a lot of money. I think it was $10 million, 2-year deal. Never looked good. Poona Ford was a little bit of a disappointment as well. I don't know why the Bills didn't play him much. They didn't. He was inactive for much of the season. I think Poona was disappointed in how they used him. But then this year, you add the depth pieces of Dwayne Carter, which I really like. We got young, because right now, I said before the draft, our average defensive tackle interior guy was like 30 years old.
Yeah.
30 years old, Jake. And I was including Ed Oliver. Right. So now you look at those guys, and these are projections. We don't know who actually will be those. Well, we know who the starters will be for sure. It definitely will be Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones, unless, who knows, Wayne Carter comes in there and shines, right?
We'll see. Yeah.
And but behind them is Deshaun Williams and Austin Johnson. And then again, I'm going off our lads right now. Our lads is not 100%, but they're pretty darn good. They have Dwayne Carter third in the depth line there, but I think he's going to move up. I really do. Dwayne Carter is a stud. So I think I love his motor. But when I look at this, we're at least the same. And I feel like because we got younger with Dwayne Carter, I want to say we're better in that area. But let me throw it to you for your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I definitely think we're better in that area. We got a little bit younger, but not really. When you look at the room of defensive tackles right now, we did sign some nice depth pieces, but they are all a little bit older. Like Austin Johnson, I think will be 30 as of this year. And he's been playing his best football as of late. I mean, 2 years ago with the Giants, he had a really nice season with them. But then you look at like Deshaun Williams as well, kind of similar. I think he's 29, 30 years old as well. I mean, we still have Elianku on the team too, and he's actually older than I thought. He's 29 himself. So, and then of course Dwayne Carter, he is a rookie, but he's actually an older rookie. He's 23 years old, going to be 24. So while we wanted to get a little bit younger there, I think we got fresher at that position, if you will. So definitely upgrades with those additions that we made. And then you bring in a guy like Dwayne Carter, who's a high motor guy. I think he'll be here for a while, and we're really going to enjoy watching the Dwayne Carter experience. This dude is special. He could play the 1, 3, or 5 tech positions here. And I'm really excited to see this kid go to work. I think he will be a starting defensive tackle for the Buffalo Bills at some point.
Some point this season, maybe. If
it could be halfway. Yeah. And the thing is, though, too, like the Bills rotate their defensive line so much. Even Eddie Oliver comes out, so none of these dudes are going to play 100% of the snaps. That's just the reality of it. So it's nice to have 5 to 6 dudes that you could just continuously rotate. I don't always love that because when a guy's hot, you keep him in the game. And then when you take him out, that kind of ruins their momentum. So to me, like I said, when he's hot, you keep him in the rotation. You keep him out there. I guess the good thing is you'll always have someone out there that's fresh if you do the rotation thing. But yeah, time will tell. We'll see how we work those guys in. But yeah, it's interesting on our lads. I see what you're saying. Have him listed as a third defensive tackle behind Daquan Jones and Deshaun Williams, presumably as that 1 tech position.
Yeah, he'll definitely move up. So your thoughts? Are we as good? Are we better? Or are we
I think we're better.
I think we're better. Exactly. Yeah. So that's a good start. We always say that what happens up front makes everything behind you easier, right? Easier for the corners. If you're getting more pressure, stopping the run, it just makes everything much simpler for those corners, for those linebackers, for the safeties. So good start. We're off to a good start there. And let me see here real quick. Yeah, that's about it. I wanted to talk to on the defensive tackles. I want to say track reviewer was sorry. I was just going to him as well. My choices at DT would be Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, Austin Johnson, Dwayne Carter, and Deshaun Williams.
Yeah, absolutely. Elianku, probably a practice squatter, a guy that we can pull up. I don't know what the rule is behind that with the practice squad, but I think they got rid of that whole thing where after you're a 4-year veteran or something like that. Because, when the COVID thing hit, never mind. I was going in a different direction. Just scratch that.
All right, we're scratching it. There you go. Good stuff, track reviewer. Totally agree with you there. So let's talk about the defensive end / edge guys. So last year in that Chiefs game, starting was Gregory Rousseau at the left defensive end. Daquan Jones, like we said, was there. Ed Oliver and Leonard Floyd. Now, Leonard Floyd, you might say, is a big loss. You might say that. But if you look at what he did over the last 7 games, including the playoffs, 1 sack. So his 10.5 sacks, 9.5 of those came earlier in the season. And then he just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. Set himself up for a nice payday. Where did Leonard Floyd end up going, Jake? Who picked him up? Oh, you forgot. Okay. Usually
I actually forgot where he went. Yeah, I'm going to have to look that up for a second here. I am drawing a blank. Where did Leonard Floyd go?
Somebody would tell us there. But, at that pieces, they had AJ Epinesa.
San Fran.
And they had San Fran. Oh, San Fran. You go. That's why Vegas has them as a top seed now.
Yep.
But at depth, last year we had AJ Epinesa, Shaq Lawson, Von Miller. And let's face it, Von was coming back for an injury, and it was like, man, get him off the field. He finally started to show life towards the end of the season, Jake. And that to me, I don't think we'll ever see Von Miller the way he was when he first joined us. I just don't think we'll get that version. But if we can get something between what we got last year and the first year we had him, I'm excited about that. But he's not going to be our starter this year, I don't believe. Who I do think will be there will be starting Rousseau, Daquan Jones, I'm sorry, and Epinesa. So Epinesa will be on the right defensive end. And this is going to be AJ's first opportunity, right, as the starter. And you kind of love that. I mean, AJ, he's had signs of brilliance. I mean, he's so quick off the snap. He had a lot of deflected balls last year. He is a little injury prone, but and then behind AJ Epinesa, got Von Miller. And I think, again, Von's going to have a little bit of a bounce back season. And we drafted Javon Solomon, who we're all very excited about, right? And let's see here. And then we have Dwayne Smoot and Casey Tuchel. So we got a lot of depth right now. I don't know how many they're going to keep. Do you remember how many defensive ends we kept last year?
I think it was 5. Or maybe it was 6. Maybe it was 6 total.
5 or 6. So, yeah, look at those defensive ends. Short of Leonard Floyd, who, again, fell off the face of the earth the last 7 games of the season, we're right where we were. And I think with the addition of Javon Solomon, I want to say we're at least where we were. Maybe better with the younger guy, because let's face it, Leonard Floyd's getting older. He's up there in age. And maybe he just tired out. It was too long of a season for him. Or maybe he was just playing it safe. He's like, you know what? I got 10.5 sacks. I just got to stay injury free.
I'm going to get paid somewhere else.
Get paid,
we'll
right?
just bounce back,
Right? These 1-year deals, sometimes that's the case with these
Went
players.
to another contender. So, yeah.
So what's your thoughts on the defensive end/edge guys?
I actually am going to say we upgraded at this position. When you look at the loss of Leonard Floyd, it hurts a little bit, but you made a great point, Mike. He didn't do a whole hell of a lot on the back end of the season. And when it mattered most, he never even really showed up. Von Miller looked better than anyone in last year's playoff game against the Chiefs. So it definitely needed a refresh. And I love the recent signing of Dwayne Smoot. This is a dude that always played very, very well against the Bills whenever we played against the Jags. So why not poach that guy and let him come play in Buffalo, right? Maybe he could do the same thing when we play the Jags at some point this year, whether it's in the playoffs. I don't think we play him in the regular season, do we?
Who's that, the Jags?
The Jags. I don't think we do this year.
I don't remember.
I don't believe so. But say it's in the playoffs. Hey, let's seek some revenge that way, right? So I love that move. I think he will be a rotational piece on this defensive end core. Of course, my infatuation with Javon Solomon. This is one of my draft crushes, and I'm so glad that we were able to take this guy in round 5, which I think is incredible value. And this dude will at least be a pass rush specialist. But what I'm most excited about with this room is AJ Epinesa finally being able to be that starting defensive end. He's always been battling between someone, whether it's even like a Boogie Basham or whoever at that defensive end position. He's never really been able to be that guy, and I think this is his year where he takes off. He's going to prove that he was worth that re-signing, and I think we got him at a bargain there, by the way, for that re-signing. So I'm really excited for it. This dude has one of the fastest get-offs in the NFL, so I'm fired up about it, man. I'm going to say this room got better.
So an upgrade there. Upgrade across the line completely. Yep. Not a huge upgrade, but a slight upgrade.
Yeah.
Let's see. Trek Reviewer at, Iwan Von Miller, Greg Rousseau, Epinesa, Dwayne Smoot, and Javon Solomon. Yep. Right there with you. We're seeing eye to eye for the first time, Trek, other than your Cam statement. Right there with you.
So he's saying we only keep 5. I would say we'll still keep 6. And that 6th guy, it's going to be a battle between Kingsley Jonathan and Casey Tuchel for that final spot. Okay. Cameron Klein, don't sleep on him. He always has a really good preseason, too.
And Stefan saying Groot looks like he put on some mass this offseason. I haven't seen any of the players. Like, where did you see that, sir?
I saw it in the tug of war. They had a picture of him.
Oh,
and,
okay.
His arms were freaking. They're huge. I mean, the dude definitely put on some mass. I agree, Stefan.
Yep. So, and then recent news, I think we signed him or take his, what is the 5th-year option? Signed him a 5th-year option. So that's cool. Mm-hmm. Not sure. I know some people aren't like super happy about that, but I like the kid. He hasn't kind of lived up to that pass rush specialist that like you predicted over 10 sacks last year. I
Yeah, I
think
said
he
12 and
got,
a
what did
half.
he get to?
He was at like 6.5. Let me see. Or was it 8 maybe?
That was around there, I think.
Yeah, it
I know
wasn't
it wasn't
I mean, it wasn't double digits. It
right.
was actually 5. It was 8 the year before, Mike. So
Okay.
5 last year.
And
Yeah,
did he
that's
play how many games did he play? Did he miss some time at all?
I think he did miss a little bit of time. He missed 1 game.
Okay.
So
Not too
that
much.
was it. Yeah.
So he's been a little disappointing when it comes to the pass rush, but when you're that tall, man, you get your arms up. It makes it extremely difficult for any quarterback. So if you're not getting to the quarterback, get those arms up. But I hope he takes a step up. We hope that last year it didn't happen. So big question mark for him. AJ Epinesa, again, like I said, my only concern with him, he's injury prone. He seems to miss games every year, and it's weird too. And I think because, like you said, because he has to rotate so much, he wasn't really the starter. It's hard to get into a groove, right? You start
Definitely.
getting into a groove, they pull you out. You're like, come on, man, put me back in
And
there.
he was the guy who had 6.5 sacks. So as a rotational
Yes,
piece, this guy had more sacks than Greg Rousseau had last year. So
that's
think about that.
exciting.
Put that into
Yeah,
perspective, right?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
exciting. And Stefan says he expects Von Miller to have a bounce back. I do. Again, I don't think it's going to be Von we saw 2 years ago, but can't get any worse than what we had last year, Jake. I think this is
I
an
agree.
easy prediction right here.
Definitely. And he will be just on pass rushing downs. There's no doubt. I don't think he's out there, as much as he was his first year as a Buffalo Bill. His best days are behind him, but if he could still contribute as a pass rusher, I'm all here for it.
All right, so a little bit better on the line. Let's go to the linebackers here. Let's move back one. And then this year's we got Tyrell Dotson coming back. This is his third year. I'm sorry, not Tyrell Dotson. Terrell Bernard coming back. This is his third year. Tyrell Dotson, who actually played, I mean, so I still think about how we all wanted to run him out of town. Even before the season started, he looked terrible in preseason, and he came in and had a pretty damn good year. Now, I know he wasn't a 3-down guy. They started putting Poyer in, taking him out, or actually bringing in a third safety like Tyler Rapp and on passing downs. But he did a pretty good, serviceable job, enough to get him a nice contract. I forget where he went, but he got
Seattle.
$4 or $5 million, something like that. Nice little payday for him. But we expect to have back Matt Milano. Now, I do have some concerns. I've been hearing, and the Bills have been making moves. I don't know if you heard, but Matt Milano is still recovering from whatever this injury was last year. And I saw Joe Marino. I watched Joe Marino, and he had some doctor on there, and the doctor was like, it may still take a while. We may not have Matt Milano at 100% start of the season. So that's a little concerning for me. I know the Bills made some moves there. But if we did have Matt Milano coming back, you would obviously say this linebacker core is better because we also have second-year Dorian Williams with a little more experience. But let me just show you what we had last year. So Tyrell Dotson at weak side linebacker. We had Dorian Williams backing him up. Terrell Bernard, who was just a superstar until he got injured. And then we had Tyler Matakavich and Balin Spector behind him. This year, the projections are, again, we'll have Matt back, Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams, and I'll let you say the new rookie's name, Jake, because I don't want to butcher it.
Edifwan Olafoshio. By the way, I had to say that about 3 times over and over and over again. I check out that new video, by the way. I did do a video for our channel here introducing our draft picks, and yes, I had to pronounce his name in that video. So hope I didn't butcher it too bad.
Yep. I mean, we also signed Nicholas Morrow, undrafted out of Philadelphia, and Deion Jones. I don't know much about those guys, but I am excited about the rookie we drafted. And of course, Dorian Williams being in the second year. And so if Milano's back, and maybe whether or not Milano's back or not, again, Milano will be back at some point. Don't get me wrong. Whether we'll have 100% Matt back day one, I don't know. But he'll be back and get the rust knocked off. And at some point, we'll probably see Matt Milano at close to 100% in the season. But with that said, Jake, I can't say that this has to be an upgrade here, especially with Matt coming
Absolutely.
back, right?
Absolutely. I mean, just getting back to being somewhat healthy is a monster upgrade. I think you look at all of these defensive units, and really outside of defensive line, we were super depleted. I mean, we were down to pulling up practice squatters, and we had AJ Klein who was ready to go on an RV trip. We had to call him back and have him play on the practice squad, and then
Yeah.
called him up. And yeah, so this is absolutely an upgrade to me. I like the young talent that we added. We did add a little bit of depth too, with just some older guys and Deion Jones and then Nicholas Morrow. We still have Balin Spector, by the way, too, who I'm a big fan of. That's my guy. So still riding with Balin Spector. Don't count him out just yet. Deion Jones, former Pro Bowl linebacker with the Falcons. His best days are behind him. The past 2 years, he's been pretty banged up. But prior to that, he was a very, very good linebacker with Atlanta. Played the last 2 years, I believe, with Carolina. And his last 100-plus tackle was in 2021. But good player, nice depth piece. I think he could make this team. I know there were some rumors about him coming to Buffalo last year. He was interested in signing with the Bills, didn't end up doing so. But this is a guy that I like. I think he's a serviceable player. You can count on him to come in. He's a little more athletic to me than Nicholas Morrow as well. Nicholas Morrow, kind of a liability in coverage, but just registers a ton of tackles. D2 guy too, so you got to respect it. But overall, definitely an upgrade here at the linebacker unit.
Yeah, so far so good. Slight upgrade on the defensive line. Slight upgrade, not a slight upgrade. I think it's a huge upgrade with Matt Milano back. And then let's get into the corners, because last year for the cornerbacks, starting in that game against Kansas City, you had Christian Benford and Russell Douglas, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, Russell Douglas. And both of them, well, Russell was also just coming off an injury. I think he had just come back the week before, and he had been playing fantastic. So he wasn't 100%, but he played in that game. Christian Benford was there. And Christian Benford, my only concern with him is staying healthy once again. He was a great, 6th-round pick for the Bills last year. Was it last year? Yeah, last year.
2 years ago, 2022.
Was it 2 years ago? That's right.
Crazy.
He started over Kyer. I know. That is crazy. Think about that. So we lose Dane Jackson, which, again, that was a big loss to me. I mean, Dane was very good depth piece. Actually, he was a starter for us. When Trey went down the first time he went down a couple of years ago. So Dane was a big loss, but now you got Kyer Elam. You got Kyer Elam, and this is it. This is make or break. I mean, I hope the Bills take off open the gates for this young man, play a little more press to help him out, maybe. But I think Kyer, if Kyer's ceiling is higher than Dane Jackson's ever was, and if we could see that, I mean, he's 6'2", he runs a 4.3 something. He's got good size. He's like a 200-pound guy, I believe. And then we also signed another rookie, another 5'9" speedster at corner. What was that young man's name, Jake?
Daquan Hardy, who's going to be maybe our starting punt returner.
Yep.
That's a bold prediction. That is our starting punt returner week 1, Daquan Hardy.
Yeah, so he's got great wheels, just a little small. But yeah, so from a cornerback perspective, you're starting the same two that you had last year. It just comes down to, do you think we have better depth? And let me throw it to you for your thoughts on that.
I do. I actually do. I look at this roster right now at the cornerback position. Listen, Trey White was hurt last year at the end of the year, so you can just scratch that out. Now, if you are including a healthy Trey White, if you were to look at the beginning of the season, I would say maybe we're slightly worse here. But ruling Trey White out, I think this is actually a little bit better of a unit, if not maybe the same. When you look at it, Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford, 2 starting corners right there. Taron Johnson, he was handed the keys to this defense. This guy's going to be a captain this year. He's going to have a really good season. He just got paid, well worth every penny of it. This is one of the best nickel corners in football. So those are obviously solidified. When you look at the depth, Kyer Elam is such an interesting name. He is still on this team. He has not been traded yet. And I feel like if the Bills felt like he was not worth that first-round value, they would have traded him a long time ago. right? And I know they haven't played him, and he's been a backup corner for most of his career here. He's had some good moments, but to me, Kaiir Elam is Jimmy Smith 2.0. Jimmy Smith, former corner for the Baltimore Ravens. It took him until about year 3 to really get ramped up to speed. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing here with Kaiir Elam. He dealt with a foot injury last year. His rookie year, he went through some growing pains, but I thought did some really nice things. And I think this is the year where he's going to step up and contribute, whether that be in a role position or as a starter eventually. He's going to be an absolute dog this year. I really feel like Kaiir is going to take a good step with Jaleel Adai coming in. This is a guy that has mastered his craft as a coach, being able to convert these man corners into more of a zone corner. So this could be the best thing to ever happen for Kaiir Elam's career. So I'm really excited about the opportunity there. You look at some of the other guys, obviously Cam Lewis, Trek Reviewer's favorite, playing at nickel now. Most likely not going to be at the safety position just because of the other guys that we got there in Mike Edwards and obviously still having DeMar Hamlin and I think Kendall Williamson's on the team too. It looks like they're probably going to play Cam as a nickel back right behind Taron Johnson. And then Daquan Hardy, to me, he's not going to really play defense. He's just going to be strictly a special teams return guy, and that's why he was drafted. So I'm going to say this is an upgrade, a slight upgrade, very slight.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you on that one. Trek Review says in the defensive backfield, anyone but Cam. For those out there that don't know, we have a little joke going because Trek Review is still mad at me because I projected Cam Lewis to make the 53-man roster last year, and he said no way Cam would be on this team or even playing in the NFL. Jake, that's what he said. And here he is, Cam Lewis has made it and proved them wrong. And who knows? I think he's going to prove them wrong once again this year. By the way, if you're new to the channel, please comment. And if you like what you're seeing, drop a nickel on that subscribe button for us. We greatly appreciate your support, and it goes a long way to helping the channel out. Appreciate you, all of you, especially the ones that join us on a weekly basis when we're doing our shows in the chat. It just makes things so much more fun. And I saw, like I said, Sean had a lot of great interaction last night, and that's just really what makes a show is all of you out there. So thank you.
What's up, Nick? How we doing, brother? It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I got to call you soon, man. Glad to see you out there, Nick.
The only change on special teams is he's saying punter Jake Browning. We haven't gotten to special teams yet, but while we're on it, Jake, what's your thoughts there?
Love it. By the way, it's Jack Browning, so Trek Reviewer, -1 point for you there. Jack Browning, absolute stud.
Probably a typo.
Now, I will say this. San Diego State, we have not had good history drafting punters from San Diego State. And, Matt Araiza now with the Kansas City Chiefs, so it's going to be interesting. Not sure if this kid's going to make the squad. He's a 24-year-old rookie. But the two punters we have right now, Sam Martin, kind of a bit of a slippery slope last year. Slippery Sam Martin with the slippery slope of a season. And then we bring back, the one and only, what's his name? Matt Hawk. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's anyone's job, definitely.
That's another one that kind of hurts, like Matt Araiza going to the Chiefs. Do you think there's any way? I don't know who their starting punter is. He's probably decent, like everyone on the Chiefs. But
so they lost Tommy Townsend. So It looks like right now, I think Matt Araiza is the guy for that job.
Dude, he's got the leg. Yeah. We know that. So it'd be very difficult to beat him out. But that's going to sting.
They brought in Austin Riku's brother too, Ryan Riku too. I think he's going to compete with him. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be Matt Araiza's job this year. Definitely.
So we'll get to see him when we play him. It's going to be crazy. All right. Well, let's so far. I mean, defensive line. We talked linebacker. We talked corners. We're still. We're saying slight upgrade. I mean, in
there it is.
Big upgrade on linebacker. He is the starting punter. Okay, good, Weston.
And I don't even know if you could really call it a total upgrade, Mike, because we did lose Dane Jackson. You gotta factor that in here. But I'm gonna say it is just because I think Kaiir Elam will take a step this year. And I know I might be in the minority on that, but I really do feel like this is going to be the season. Like I said, look at Jimmy Smith. This is going to be the same type of track, I think, for Kaiir. He can play in this league. He's shown that he can.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think defensive line and corners, you can say, is a slight upgrade. And I think linebackers only bigger than a slight upgrade because if Matt Milano comes back. Big question mark, though, based on the news that's been coming out about him, whether he's going to be 100% day one. But still, Matt Milano. 70% of Matt Milano is better than a lot of people in the league. So
Definitely. Absolutely.
So let's get to where the biggest change on the defensive side was made, and that's with Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, two of the best safeties to play the game for, I don't know, many years for the Bills. Great leaders. Last year, age was showing. People were saying, man, we got to get young here. And then when we let them go, people were pretty upset about it. But we got younger. We got Mike Edwards. We just signed Mike Edwards, free agent. And then we have Tyler Rapp, who played for us last year. Tyler Rapp did a pretty good job. He wasn't the starter, but he'd come in plenty of times, especially when they would take Tyrell Dotson off the field. They'd bring in Rapp, and because Rapp can kind of, he's a bigger guy. He can play that guy who's going to help stuff the run if he needs to. And of course, Tyler Rapp had that huge two back-to-back plays against the Dolphins, where he knocked down a pass with Tyreek Hill, and then he intercepted the last pass for Tua to put the game to end the game. Got hurt, unfortunately. We didn't see him in the. I don't know. I don't think he played. Did he play for us again? I don't think he did for us, right?
No, he did
didn't
not.
make it back. Yeah.
Nope.
And by the way, so anyhow, we've gotten younger, which is what people wanted. But this is where you can. I don't even with the drafting of Cole Bishop, who I absolutely love. I think he's going to be a star. You already predicted he's going to be an All-Pro. I don't know if you said All-Pro year one.
I said Pro Bowler, but maybe All-Pro. Right. We can hope. I said he's Harrison Smith, right? So if that's the case, he will be an All-Pro. Absolutely.
Yeah. So great addition, but there's no way we can say this is an upgrade. We just don't know yet, right? This is a huge loss in leadership. Those two guys on the back end were, they were everything. They were everything to this defense, but they did show their age, Jake. But I'll ask you, is it a huge downgrade for what we have this year? Slight downgrade. You can't say it's nowhere near.
Yeah, I can't say it's an upgrade. I don't think it's equal. I think it's slightly less. And I say that because they definitely were showing their age. But one thing you cannot remove from both Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde was their leadership and their IQ. Those dudes knew this defense like the back of their hand. They knew exactly where one another was going to be. They knew exactly where to be, being in the right place at the right time. And that's why they were able to last so long as they did in this Buffalo Bills defense. But I do want to mention, I think a lot of people are sleeping on Taylor Rapp. Like, you gave him a year to sort of learn this defense. And yeah, he showed some signs where it's like, maybe he's not that guy, but he's still young, Mike. He's only 26 years old. And this is a dude who routinely registered 90 tackles and, 2 to 4 interceptions with the Los Angeles Rams. Like, he was a really good player. He's a second-round pick for a reason. So I think we have to put a little more faith into Taylor Rapp as being that starting safety. He will be one of those starting safeties. And I think the other one really should be Cole Bishop. Mike Edwards is going to be a rotational piece. He's good in coverage. He's very opportunistic. He's had I think he's right up amongst the league leaders in defensive touchdowns over the last 3 seasons. So a guy that's going to make big plays when it matters, which I think is a great move by the Bills to bring him in as a rotational piece. But Cole Bishop, the upside that he brings to this team is absolutely incredible. I think this dude is going to get his head in the playbook, and he will be a day one starter. He's going to be an absolute stud. So really excited about the upside of these dudes.
Yeah.
But right now, at this very moment in time, I can't put them over what we previously had.
Yeah, and I agree. And it's a good point about Tyler Rapp. I mean, now that he's going to be the starter, because they've played him in different areas over the past couple seasons that we had with him. He's been here, for 2 years with us?
This is his second season.
This is his second season.
Yep.
And he's got a Super Bowl ring. So he's got experience with a team that got the ring, and he was the starting safety for them as well. So good stuff there. That's a great point to remind people.
He just turned, I'm looking at this. He just turned 26 in December.
Yeah. So I love
that's crazy. He's young.
Yeah.
That's exciting to me.
Yeah. And we saw him, like I said, big plays down the stretch last year until he got injured. And Cole Bishop, another guy who was a captain. So again, high IQ, leadership qualities, but again, it's different level now. It's going from college to the NFL. I do hope that he gets the start. But it's nice to have Mike Edwards behind the scenes there if needed. And then, of course, Cam Lewis. If you really need someone, Cam Lewis, but
Definitely.
You hear
And this
that
is that
track?
transition. Like this
Yeah.
is
Yes.
one of the groups that Brandon Beane alluded to when he said transition. The safety group, and then obviously we'll talk about the offensive side, but this is one of those big groups that we lost two of our absolute studs over the last few seasons here, and
Yeah.
not easy to replace, but I think these dudes can handle it.
Jack Reader saying maybe the Bills can talk Derek Burrows or Dean Cain out of retirement to take Cam's spot.
Man,
Man, he just
there's
won't
not
let it
about it.
go. Stefan saying, I think we're all going to be very surprised with the new D look and Raps a stud. Yeah, and I mean, Bobby Babich, um, Sean McDermott. I don't know who's calling the plays. It's still people are saying it's probably going to be Babich, but come on, you know that McDermott will have his hand in the pot, obviously. And McDermott did a really good job last year. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
he
I
did.
thought he did a great job, and I'm happy that he's kind of relinquished that, and we've got a defensive coach now. But that's McDermott's specialty. So I'm expecting that to. I don't know if there'll be huge changes when it comes to McDermott, but maybe I've heard rumors like a little more press coverage, kind of help Kyer. That's where where his specialty is.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know, but I'm excited about it. So overall, Jake, on the defensive side, those back end pieces, which are super critical, that's where the big question mark is. So heck, with that youth, we could see some special things happen there. Loss of leadership, you can see us maybe struggle early on back there until they get familiar, and of course Cole Bishop learning the system.
Yeah, I agree. But where games are won, Mike? They're in the trenches,
in
right?
the trenches.
So
that's what
we said.
said.
Those were both upgrades,
right? Everything in the trenches helps everything what's behind it. So I love it. So overall, defensive wise, I'm liking what I see. I'm like, man, we need to shut it down. I'm not looking at this defense and saying we need to shut it down. They struggled in that Kansas City game. Pat Mahomes had his way with us, and I think we saw some of the age, the slowness of. I don't even know. Did Micah Hyde playing that game? Was he able to start?
I don't
Can't remember.
Did he? I don't think he did.
I know Poyer did, but
I don't think he did.
We'll see. Yeah, let us know. Jason Taylor says Lewis is great. Oh, what the heck? Yes, there we go. All right.
Jason Taylor, former Miami Dolphins and Jets.
Yes, all right. I love it.
End.
You found our channel.
Yeah. How about it?
Yeah, there you go, Trek. Jason Taylor.
Love it. Jason Taylor himself saying this.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Isn't he in the Hall of Fame? He made the Hall of Fame, didn't he? There you go. Hall of Famer. Trek, what do you got to say to that?
Right.
Stefan saying press man. Yep, for sure. And then we lost some, but what we brought in has made up for those first two levels.
Definitely.
Tough.
Yep.
All right, well, let's switch over to the man. We're gonna have to get going here, buddy. We're like 52
Mike's
minutes.
Like,
just on
prior to the show, Mike's saying, "I'm gonna really
Oh.
keep us on track with this time thing."
I'm terrible.
All right.
I'm so terrible at keeping us on track.
Fun.
It is fun.
I'm off tomorrow, Mike.
Oh, good. Yeah. Good. I work from home this week, so that's always a good.
There you go.
Too.
Perfect. Boom.
The point of the show was, when you hear, transition and you get things, I heard some folks yesterday, like we shouldn't, we should set our expectations lower. Not for me. Not with JA-17. I'm still thinking we got a shot at a Super Bowl with this team. Are there question marks? 100%. Now we're going to get into the offensive side, and there's some big things there to talk about. So let's get that started with the offensive line. So the big news, the shocker for me, and I think for a lot of us, was when Mitch Morse was let go. We all hoped that we could draft a center in a draft, which we did. Got a very good center. Cedric
Van Pran Granger.
Yeah, there you go. Long name.
Yeah.
Got him in the 5th. He's an absolute stud. I've heard nothing but good things about him from all analysts, no matter where you look. The concern is that Connor McGovern now has moved to center, and David Edwards is going to start at left guard. Connor McGovern had a fantastic year, maybe his best year as a pro at guard last year, Jake.
Yep.
And now you're messing with that line that was so good. So you lose your starting center. You move Connor over, who, he thinks, based on what I've seen on a podcast that he did with Eric Woods, he's ready for the job. David Edwards, to me, my biggest concern is moving David Edwards over. And now you got Deion Dawkins having to play with another guard. He was so good with him and Connor last year. Deion Dawkins maybe had one of his best years as a Bill, with Connor next to him. Of course, Mitch, at that center position, Mitch has got to be one of the top 5 centers in the league.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So you lose him. There's a big question mark there. We did draft Van Pranger. Is it Van Pranger? Can I say that?
Van Pran Granger. I know. You could just do a shortened version, right? That seems so much simpler. VP. There you go. SVP. Scott Van Pelt.
SVP. Love it. So, I know Sean, I know a lot of us are, hoping that he comes in and wins that center job. And then Connor moves back to guard, and you pretty much you only have one change on that offensive line versus 2 changes. But for me, this is obviously a big question mark. You cannot say it's an upgrade at all. You got to say it's a downgrade here.
Yeah.
But let me throw it to you for your thoughts on that O-line.
Yeah, I don't think it's a significant downgrade per se, but it is going to be really hard to fill Mitch Morse's shoes. And I'll say this, I don't think Mitch Morse necessarily had his best year as a pro last season. I think he was dealing some injuries too. But man, first off, you trade Ryan Bates, and then you go ahead and get rid of Mitch Morse. So that was a huge gut punch to me. I'm thinking, man, what are we going to do here? But the Bills go ahead and take this kid in the 5th round, who I think, really looking at the big board, I know I was saying top 5 center. When I definitely think top 5, I'm ready to say he was the 3rd best center in this class. And he was behind some other really good players such as Zach Frazier and JPJ. So to me, I mean, those 2 guys are day 1 starters. And I think Cedric Van Pran Granger is a day 1 starter as well. This is a guy that started 44 games at Georgia, had 1,300 career pass blocking attempts, and only allowed 1 sack. And he wasn't playing chumps. He was playing in the SEC. And he played in some big-time games. So you want to replace a guy like Mitch Morse. Who do you do it with? I think this is the guy to do it with. This is a dude that has a ton of leadership qualities. To me, he's like Lloyd Cushenberry. Like that, to me, is like a really good pro comp. And I think this kid is athletic enough to play in this gap-based scheme that we have. I think he can definitely work to the next level. He's really good at down blocking. He's good at all that stuff. You love to see the lateral quickness. He has that. And to me, I love what Sean said yesterday on his show. You already had 4 guys that are going to be returning, and Connor McGovern, who had his best year as a pro at the left guard position. Deion Dawkins, probably his best year as a pro at the left tackle position, who actually verbally came out and said, I've never had the opportunity to play with a really good left guard like that. Like, I've never had that type of chemistry throughout my career. And then on the other side, you got Spencer Brown, who definitely overperformed expectations. And then Osiris Torrance, who had one of the better rookie years out of all offensive linemen. So why not only have to really fix one position instead of having, like, you're already going to have a new center regardless, Connor McGovern, or you can play a guy there that has played center throughout his entire career. So to me, the choice is easy. And I do feel like during camp, he's going to prove that he has to be the starting center. And eventually they will move Connor McGovern back to the left guard position. So I think it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I think SVP, what did you say? He only had 1 sack in his whole college career.
Yeah.
1 sack he gave up.
1,300 career pass blocking attempts. 1,300 plus.
That's crazy.
None last year.
I want that, and I would love to see Connor move over. But I feel like the Bills have made this promise to him. Whether I'm right or wrong, watch the Eric Woods podcast where he had Connor on there. Eric Woods, a great center for us for the Buffalo Bills. And, Connor said right in there, he said he knew he'd be the eventual replacement for Mitch Morse. He didn't think it would be this year. But he knew what was going to happen. If Mitch got hurt last year, he was going to move the center, is what they told him.
Yeah.
And so they're going into camp for sure with the idea that Connor McGovern is going to be their center. Now, if SVP comes in and shows them that they're wrong, I don't know if they're going to make the move since he's a rookie. I don't know. I want him to. But at least it's good to know that, hey, if the experiment with McGovern moving to center and David Edwards, and I also believe Aaron Cromer wants SVP to be able to play guard. He wants him to be more versatile.
Yeah, they did mention
so that. You never know. They might just put him in at guard as well. Who knows? There's a lot of options. But we'll see. As it stands right now, it's got to be a downgrade. Slight downgrade.
Yeah, I'll
No.
say with the starters, I think it's a downgrade, but I think in depth, we actually upgraded. We signed Lyle Collins. Trying to think of some of the other guys that we brought in.
Will
we
Clapp.
drafted Travis Clayton. Yeah, Will Clapp's are one of our backup centers. Drafted Travis Clayton, who's definitely a project. That's a 4-year guy that we're going to keep, who can't be poached because he's one of those international pathway players, which is great. Alec Anderson, Ryan Vandermark, who I actually like Ryan Vandermark. Not bad. And then Richard Garage, I think, is returning. Tommy Doyle. So I think depth-wise, I mean, the signing of Lyle Collins, to me, that kind of puts us over the edge in terms of being better on the depth side of things. But when you look at starters alone, I'm going to say that we're slightly worse.
All right. Let's see here. Let me go to check for you. The O-line, he says Dawkins, Ryan Vandermark, Connor McGovern. What's that?
Keaton Bills.
Keaton
Remember
Bills
that
also.
name.
Yeah, Keaton Bills. Yeah. Cedric Van Pran Ranger, Alec Anderson. Yeah, so those are who we have to work with. And Jason Taylor saying Morse is more athletic, but McGovern has a better anchor.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's a fair statement. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, when I listen to that pod, it feels like McGovern's just getting ready to play center because it is a different position. You're asked to do different things. You're the quarterback of that offensive line. He was excited. Yeah. So SVP has to come in, do something big. But again, the fact that they have that ability now, if things aren't looking good, make the switch.
True.
So I like that.
And I'll say this. So he was on Eric Wood's podcast talking about that. Eric Wood himself moved from guard to center and became a really, really good one, a Pro Bowler.
That's
so,
a great
point. Not saying that this transition is a bad thing. It's just, why fix two positions when you have the choice where you can only fix one. And I love that he brought that up yesterday in his show. It makes a lot of sense.
And what we have to remember, Jake, is like, we're not with those guys day in and day out, right? We're not the coaches working with them. We're not Aaron Cromer. You have to trust. If they believe that's the best move, then that's the best move, I believe.
Cromer's one of the best offensive line coaches in football, too.
Exactly.
So he knows a thing or two, yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm learning is like all us want to be GMs and coaches. I mean, it's great to
at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, these guys get paid a lot of money to do, for instance, the scouts. I know we were all a little disappointed with the Keane Coleman. Now you look at it a little more, you're starting to hear all these we had a coach yesterday on Sean's show. He's comping the Des Bryant. Come on now. Can't get any better. So let's go. But again, you're like, man, why didn't we take this guy? Why didn't we take Leggett? And I think your point was spot on. They probably went for the youth. Like Leggett was an older rookie, 23? Yeah. And Keane Coleman, 20. So I don't know, dude. I've seen some pictures lately of Keane Coleman. Him and Justin Shorter are just going to have a contest to see who is the most sculpted because they're both built. I mean,
yes, the
calf muscles on Keane Coleman is like, damn. Don't want to be tackling him. I do not want to be a corner and having to take on Keane Coleman. Let me just say that right now.
I agree. I'm with you on that one.
What's check review saying? James Cook, Ray Davis, Frank Gore Jr. Yep. And then Beach Chair Cromer.
Yeah, I don't know if you know that story. So
there was some.
Yeah, he got into a little bit of an altercation. I guess some kids. I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know what led up to it, but he ends up throwing a beach chair off his balcony at some teenage kids or something like that. So he definitely has a temper. There's no doubt about it. I think he did get charged with like some type of assault. I don't know if that ever was official or not, but I know that situation had occurred. This is a while ago, like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Let's move to the tight ends, Jake. So we got Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox coming back, and Quentin Morris still behind them as that third guy. I think you got to say this is an upgrade. Why? Because this is the second year for Kincaid. I think a lot of things are going to go through him. Yes, we're going to talk about the wide receivers here in a second, but Kincaid, but he broke the record for most catches by a tight end by the Buffalo Bills. And then I heard somebody say it was the most for his rookie year. Sorry, let me preface that. But then I heard someone say it was the most by even a receiver. I don't know if that's true in a rookie year, but
that might be right.
He got close to 100 targets. I expect more than 100 targets this year. I expect more touchdowns. He only had like 2 touchdowns last year, which was shocking to me. But I think you got to say this is an upgrade. And Dawson Knox is Dawson Knox. We know what we get from him year after year. He's a great blocker. As far as the receiver goes, he takes his second fiddle to Kincaid in the passing game. But love everything about Knox. So you got to say this is an upgrade, Jake, just because of the experience for Kincaid.
Absolutely. Yeah. And by the way, you are correct on that. Most receptions in a rookie season by a Buffalo Bill. He has that record as well. So not only tight ends, but in general by a rookie. So
That's
pretty damn good. I think this guy catches 100 passes this year, by the way, Mike. I'm going to say it right now. 100 catches for Dalton Kincaid. Hammer the over.
I love it. We'll have to have a show where we check what is the over-under for catches for him.
Yeah, definitely.
I absolutely love that. So upgrade there. Let's get into the big one, though. Wide receiver. All right, let's get in the wide receiver. You lose Gabe Davis. You lose Stephon Diggs. You can't say this is an upgrade or even close to a slight upgrade. It's a downgrade. Do I like the pieces? Absolutely. Kean Coleman, big dude. Curtis Samuel, he could be. We wanted that guy to take the top off of defenses. Curtis Samuel could be that guy.
Yeah.
Problem is Curtis Samuel is also injury ridden typically year after year. Almost like Crowder. Remember Crowder? We actually had him for what?
I know, right?
One play or something crazy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Was it Jamison Crowder, right?
Yeah.
So very similar. I think Samuel's a little faster, but again, injury concerns there. But he could be that guy to take the top off of defenses. You got Khalil Shakir, who has been getting better each year, and I expect big things from him. Who else we got there, Jake? That I'm not talking about.
Pieces there. Did you mention the most recent signing in Chase Claypool? That's a name.
So let's talk about it. Somebody brought that up earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, Chase Claypool. I mean, when I heard that, I'm thinking, man, that dude's been around a long time. He really hasn't. He's pretty young. No. What is it? 5 years in the league? Around
Since,
there?
2020, I believe. Yeah.
And I think was had some pretty good seasons. Was that when Ben was still? Yeah, Big Ben was still playing, right?
Yep.
And did he have 1,000-yard year?
No. So his rookie year, he had like high 800s, and he also had 9 touchdowns. And there was a lot of great things that he did that year. Like, he was a player. This dude ran 4.41 or 4.42 in the combine, jumped 40-something inches. He's 6'4", 238 pounds. I mean, so many things to like. And at the end of the day, I feel like what happened with him was things sort of came to a head when he was with the Steelers, and it just seemed like he wasn't putting enough effort in. And there was questions about whether he took his football career seriously. And, you've seen over the last few seasons, he's bounced around from team to team, Chicago and Miami. And, I think he even tried out for the CFL at one point. So this is a kid that has a lot to prove, and absolutely love, by the way, that he chose to wear number 14. This is a guy that's coming in with some serious confidence and wants to right all the wrongs and become that player that he was supposed to be in Pittsburgh.
Now, was it him who was suspended for gambling?
No, that's Quintez Cephas. Okay. That's the other guy we signed. So, yeah, interesting play, because that's a dude that you wouldn't typically see Brandon Beane taking a shot on, right? He's all about, like, the good character and choir boys, and he even said it in his press conference. He's like, we don't want all choir boys. We want a mix of players, but we also want to have essentially good vibes in the locker room. Like, we don't want a guy that's going to cause disruption. But a dude with a little bit of a past like that, I think the Bills are starting to become a little more open-minded too, which is a good thing. Sometimes.
I mean, we still have Justin Shorter, by the way. He's still a neighbor of yours, right? Lives down at the corner.
He is. As far as I know. I haven't seen him, though. So,
I mean, you still need to take your daughter over there, try to sell some Girl Scout cookies. It's the perfect opportunity to get to meet him. We got Justin Shorter and Tyrell Shavers, who people kind of forget about. He signed a futures with us at the end of the year. Another big receiver. Looked pretty good in preseason last year. And Brandon Beane specifically pointed him out in one of the press conferences. And so, again, you just got Coleman, Matt Collins, Quentin Cephas. I don't know much about Quentin. What do you know about him?
So he was with the Lions. I think he was a 5th or 6th round pick by them. Had a okay rookie year. He was more of just a role player. 300-something yards his rookie year, 200 yards the year after that. And then last year he got suspended for basically the entire season. because he was gambling on games, and he was one of I think 9 Lions players that wound up being
suspended. That must have been the one I heard. Yeah, that must have been the one I heard was gambling. Then you got Tyrell Shavers, Khalil Shakir, Justin Shorter, KJ Hamler, Brian Thompson. I think KJ Hamler is interesting again. Big injury concerns there.
Yeah. That's a dude that will compete for the returner position.
Yeah.
It'll be him, probably Khalil Shakir in the mix, and then Daquan Hardy, as I mentioned.
And then you've got Curtis Samuel, Chase Claypool, Andy Isabella. So, and others, right? I think there's some, Xavier Johnson. Yeah, what's he say?
He said Jake should find Keon Coleman. He would buy a lot of cookies. Yeah, if you didn't see
that's
his opening press conference, right? Incredible.
You comped him as the Cookie Monster on your little 10-minute video.
I sure did. Yeah,
he's been comped as the Cookie Monster.
Yep.
Jake, you have a lot of opportunities to meet these guys. You just need to get over there. You got a beautiful little daughter. She could be trying to sell anything, and that's your way. Knock on the door.
There we go.
And is she in Girl Scouts yet?
No. She probably will get into that though.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so there you go. So this is where the biggest concern is. I mean, yes, I look. We're going to talk about the running backs, but let's just say it. The running back room got better, 100%. We're a good running team. Again, you change that offensive line, that could change a little bit. We could lean more on the running game. We have a great receiving. We have a couple good receivers there. I think all three of our running backs can catch the ball, especially Ray Davis. We know Cook can catch the ball, though. I'll tell you what, he had a couple key drops last year. It's like let's clean that up. And then you got Ty Johnson. So I'd love our 3 running backs. You can lean.
How about the old 4-1? He can catch the football too. Really good athlete.
Oh, Reggie.
Sledgehammer, baby. Yeah.
Sledgehammer. For sure. So you can lean on them more. You can lean on your. We already said Kincaid's going to get over 100 receptions, and but this is the biggest one here. This is the biggest position group, Jake, that has the question mark and concerns here. Now, I did say earlier in the show, I believe this wide receiver group is better than what the Chiefs had last year, 100%.
Yeah. You know, if you want to comp it to the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
Dalton Kincaid is your Travis Kelce. People aren't going to really love this, but Keon Coleman is maybe your MVS.
Better version of MVS.
Better version for sure. Curtis Samuel is your better version of Kadarius Toney, if you will. Khalil Shakir is Rashee Rice. Something like that. Minus driving 119 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Don't want to joke about that too much, but, you know.
Yeah,
there you go.
I think Sean rated the wide receiver rooms last night on his show, which was, again, a great show. Check it out if you haven't seen it. He did have a former Division I receiver and wide receiver coach on a show last night. And again, he had a lot of good things to say about Keon Coleman. I actually asked him what was his prediction for Keon Coleman as far as yardage on the year. He said 700. But he also gave him plus 10, I think, on touchdowns. He says he's going to be a nightmare in the red zone. So he gave him a nice, I think it was 10 or 12, something like that. I'm like, I'll take that. I know Sean was initially telling us he better have over 1,000 yards this year. I don't think that realistically is going to happen. If it does, fantastic. Watch out. Bill's going to Super Bowl and winning this thing. But, for a rookie to come in with all the other talent around him, I don't know. There's just going to be an adjustment there. You got Brady coming in now for his first opportunity to use his playbook. What I had heard is that he was pretty much using the previous offensive coordinator's playbook, trying to make some adjustments to. And now he gets a chance to come in with his playbook. So we'll see. You're familiar with his work. I think he was the OC in Carolina, was it?
Yeah.
Right.
And by the way, Curtis Samuel had his best year as a pro under Joe Brady in Carolina. He had 1,000 total yards. He had 200 plus rushing yards and 800 plus receiving yards. So if he can stay healthy, he can be a player. Like, I think we got better there at the slot position.
Yeah. Stefan saying Hamler is definitely a special teams move. Lots of depth, but I think it's to find the group of guys that work best with Josh. And that's the thing, Stefan. That's a great point. It's like, how long will that take? So we'll see. It's a downgrade. I don't know how much of a downgrade it is. We'll find out. Look, Steph, you can say that these guys around Steph Diggs had good years, like Khalil Shakir. He made everyone better because he was taking on the double teams. This year, nobody knows. Like, I kind of like it. None of these, nobody's going to have tape on Kean Coleman other than what he did in college, but they don't know what he's going to do with the Bills. Who knows? From week to week, we could have a different superstar stepping up, and I love that. And that's what I hope for. But I don't know, Jake. We'll just have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, I think you're going to get a bunch of dudes that just buy in, and it doesn't matter about who's producing.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be split every week. We might have a different leading receiver every week outside of Dalton Kincaid. I think that is going to be the one constant. But as far as the production goes, I don't expect any of these receivers to have over 1,000 yards this year. I think it's going to be very diversified and split up. And yesterday I was kind of giving some of my stat predictions on Sean's show. I do think we'll have an 800 plus yard receiver, and then maybe a 600 and a 700 guy in there as well. And I think Josh is going to have a much better season because of it. I think he's going to be able to hit some of those shorter intermediary routes. And I feel like every spot of the field is going to be utilized. Like, we will be able to still go vertical at times. And it might be off of play action. It might be like that Gabe Davis play that we were so set on running, the play action boot to the right and find Gabe, that might still be in the works, and we might be able to do that in different ways, So I really do like what we have building here. And I'm going to say this, I think at the slot receiver position, we've actually gotten better. On the outside receiver positions, that's where the big question marks are.
Yeah. So, Jason, in your opinion, on paper, the Bills wide receiver room is in the bottom third of the league. And that kind of matches up with what Sean had him last night. Because, and I forget what Sean was using as his criteria, but it made sense. And he had the Bills,
23rd, I think.
Okay.
Which I think is fair.
Yeah. I think it is too. Because there's just so many question marks, Jason. We just don't know what this is going to look like, especially with, Brady having his first year, his playbook, how long it takes guys to gel with that. And again, you just can't lose the Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis and expect this wide receiver class to be better, to start. So big concern there. That, to me, out of all the position groups, is the biggest downgrade as of now.
Certainly. I would agree.
Let's see here. So we already talked about the running backs. Ray Davis, I think, is a great add. James Cook, Ty Johnson, all three of them, I think, are going to be fantastic. They can all catch the ball, which is great. So I think you're going to be happy with the running back room. I think it's a slight upgrade from last year. And obviously, you have to say that, right? James Cook is now another year older, more experienced. Ty Johnson, I thought, looked very good when he got his opportunities last year. And then Ray Davis just looks great. You can probably talk more about him, but everything I've heard, the small amount of tape that I've seen, he runs angry. He's got a lot to prove. He's got a great story behind him. Was homeless as a kid and did everything he could to take care of his siblings. So this guy I'm a huge fan of, and I expect to see some good things, and I'll be pulling for him.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's 24 years old as a rookie, so a little bit older, but very mature and well beyond his years, I think, mentally, which is good. To me, this is a guy that's actually going to steal touchdowns from James Cook. Like, when we're inside the 5, sure, you can go to Josh Allen and QB sneak, but you want to protect Josh at certain times, and I think this is a dude that's going to be our inside the tackle runner, whereas James Cook's going to be our outside guy. So it's a nice change of pace back. And by the way, a guy that can catch the football. It's really interesting, too, because he's almost the exact same height and weight as, like, Zach Moss. So I'm not comping him to Zach Moss. I think he's a little bit better of a receiver.
Yeah.
But this is a guy that's going to come in and contribute right away. He'll be a rotational back, and we still have Ty Johnson, who's a nice special teams piece. So this is a decent room. And by the way, Frank Gore Jr. signing as a UDFA. So that's an interesting name to look out for. Yeah.
So, Jason, we're usually wrong. Well, let's face it. It's not September yet. Maybe we're all wrong, and for sure. But the point of us doing the show, point of me doing the show, is just kind of like, as of right now, this Bills
isn't really that bad.
Right. and I believe they'll be a contender. And like I said, I started off the show with how Vegas has them as the fourth team, fourth or fifth. You can intermingle the Lions, the Bengals, and the Bills after the top three as a Super Bowl favorite. And we know Vegas has to do their job well to not, lose a lot of house money there. But based on what all the position groups we went through, yeah, there's big question marks. But I still expect big things from this team. I still expect them to win the East. Jake, I don't know. I mean, have you seen anything from the other teams? I mean, we got lucky last year. Let's face it, we got a little lucky last year.
Yeah.
We can't get off to the start we got off to last year. We just can't, especially with these adjustments that we're making. And I think this Thursday we're going to know the schedule. I think Thursday's the schedule release. So we'll have a show after that, obviously, to talk about that. But we can't get out of the gates slow like we did last year.
I agree. 100% agree on that. Yeah, I mean, going 6-6, you're already at a disadvantage. And this year, I don't anticipate having all those injuries to rely on where other teams will falter and they'll fall back.
Yeah.
So the AFC got a lot better. I mean, the Jets, they're up and coming. And I think, healthy Aaron Rodgers, there's a lot of good things they did in the offseason. They got some studs at the receiver position now. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's probably I still think the Dolphins are there, but you want to talk about a big riser in the AFC East. I think the Jets are a big riser.
Don't make Keith mad. Do not say it. You were about to say the Jets. Jets have the big question mark for them is Aaron Rodgers, right? It's got to be Aaron. He's coming off the Achilles. He's up there in age. We know Achilles can, happen again. So we'll see. That's the big question mark for them. They have a great defense. Obviously, they split with us last year. So did the Dolphins. Those games are battles, but I can't wait to see what this the schedule looks like. What's Trek Review? He says, "What do you guys think of Lawrence Keys?"
He loves Lawrence Keys.
Yeah,
he's small. He's not going to fit your criteria, Mike. I think he's like 5'9", maybe $170, but he did run 4.35. He's a track star, like fast as hell. I think if anything, he's electric. He definitely is, and I think he can be utilized as a slot guy, but. To me, Trek Reviewer, he'll probably be competing for a return man position, so maybe throw him into that mix as well because he did kick returns and punt returns, I think, in college at Tulane.
All right. Well, that kind of concludes our piece on that. We're going to go into our second segment. We're going to rush through that piece, but because we're way over the hour. The rush hour typically goes over an hour.
Always.
You can expect that. If you're betting in Vegas, how long is it? Plus or minus an hour? You'd be winning a lot of money if you bet the over on the hour. But Jason's saying Frank Gore Jr., UDFA for a reason, not a fan myself. So, Jake, why don't you take us through the UDFA signings that the Bills had and let us know if you see any potential sleepers there.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with the receiver position because this is an interesting one. So I just talked about Lawrence Keys III, played at Tulane. Didn't put up insane numbers or anything like that, but he's a two-sport athlete. He ran track. I think he ran the 100-meter in like 10.3 seconds, which is fast as hell. This is a guy that's probably an Olympic qualifier as a track star. And listen, we've tried this. We've had this experiment with Marquise Goodwin. Didn't necessarily work out super well, but made some splash plays while he was here in Buffalo. And also Marquise Goodwin, I think, was a second or third round pick. So to me, he's not as developed as even Marquise Goodwin was. But I do like this kid for his speed. Trek Reviewer, I'm going to one-up you, though, and I'm going to go Xavier Johnson, right? So this is a kid that's 6'2", 202. He has really, really good ability here. He played running back and wide receiver at Ohio State, and he didn't really put up the production that you would expect. But the problem is he never really got a chance to see the field because he's playing behind first-round picks. He played the last two seasons behind Marvin Harrison Jr., and then Emeka Ibuka, who's going to be a first-round pick next year. And then previous to that, he played behind Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and then trying to think of Jackson Smith and Jigba. So it's hard to see time on the field when you're playing behind these other first-round picks. So to me, like this was a priority undrafted free agent signing. I think the Bills saw something in this kid that a lot of other people maybe didn't necessarily see, or that they did see, and they're like, oh, this is probably a good guy to bring in. To me, he's a really good athlete, kind of similar to Curtis Samuel, actually. And Curtis Samuel, by the way, former Ohio State receiver, and he played like a running back there too. So the comps are definitely there, and I actually like this kid more than Lawrence Keys the third. So this is a dude that I think actually has potential to compete in this receiver room, which is saying a lot, I guess, because you have some other dudes that are, probably the solidified starters and gonna be on this roster. But this is a guy that will probably be on the practice squad, in my opinion. Xavier Johnson, remember that name. I think he's a good player. Going to running back, looking at Frank Gore Jr. Yeah, I like, obviously, the move just because Frank Gore fan, he played here in Buffalo. Sean McDermott being able to coach both Frank Gore Sr. and his son, that's a cool thing, right? His production was there at Southern Miss. Like, he did some good things there, and, I get it. Like, he's a more of a raw prospect, but the bloodlines are there, man, so why not take a shot on him? So whether he ends up here in Buffalo, I think he will be on a practice squad this year. Some of the other guys, trying to think here. Keaton Bills, that's an intriguing name. So this is a left guard for the Bills, played at Utah, another Utah prospect, 6'4", 321, started a ton of games. I think he played both center and guard there and did some really, really good things. So definitely a name to keep your ears open for. I think he'll be pretty damn good in the preseason and a guy that could be a nice depth piece and could potentially make the active roster as a backup guard. So Keaton Bills, why not sign a guy with the last name of your team name, right?
I love that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of some other dudes that were on my radar. To be honest with you, I know like Brandon Beane, defensive tackle, I'm not super high on. Keeney H. Lovely, he was a corner that we had signed. To Corey Couch, another corner that we signed. I don't know. I don't really know a whole lot about those dudes, and I personally, it's a slim chance that they make the roster, in my opinion. We did sign another Mike Edwards too. He's a backup tackle. To me, I feel like the tackle room is just a little too loaded, so not really seeing that. And then Jack Browning, the punter, San Diego State kid. He's going to compete with Sam Martin and Matt Hawk to be the starting punter here. So that'll be an interesting battle to keep an eye on. Love special teams, Mike. So that's my thing, right? So
is he anywhere near? Does he have anywhere near the league that Matt Horizon did?
No, I don't think so. No, not quite. What's Trekker in his freshman year? Lawrence Keys played at Notre Dame with Chase Claypool was a senior. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, he was a fifth-year senior, I believe. So yeah, that's pretty wild. A lot of those guys.
So, Jake, one last question before we wrap it up. Give me your surprise sleeper. Doesn't have to be somebody who's not a starter that is going to crack the 53-man roster that you didn't, that most people would think would not. I have mine. Let me hear yours.
That would crack the 53-man. So we're talking probably not a draft pick that we're looking at here. I mean, I said Daquan Hardy is going to be our starting punt returner. I don't know if that would count. He's a 6th-round pick. People probably aren't expecting much. He's technically a nickel corner, but
that's true. I mean, because we have other guys who can be kick returners. He is small, but he's slightly fast. I mean, does that count? Sure, it counts if that's what you think. I'm gonna go with somebody that was on the team already, and there's many reasons I want this guy to make the team. Offensive tackle Richard Garage.
Nice.
I want it. I mean, he's an offensive tackle out of Florida, played 4 years there, and he's got a great name. And he's 6'5", he's 306 pounds. We'll see what he does, but don't count him up. And he was on the practice squad. They waived him, made the practice squad, and then they signed him for a futures for this year. So we'll see what happens there. So I'm going way off on a ledge there. That's my surprise. Way out.
Yeah, and then I mean, another name, like I said, Xavier Johnson in the receiver room. Like, this is a crowded receiver room. I'm not saying it's the best receiver room, but it's a tough roster to really break down. I mean, after like your first 4 here, it's like who's going to be the 5 and 6 guys? I think we keep 6, and then probably the other dudes are on the practice squad. I mean, Tyrell Shavers, that was a name that we really liked. A dude that we loved last year, Mike. Great size.
Yeah, I like Shavers and Justin Shorter. Let's give him a chance. Let's see. He could be a surprise. Yeah. A lot of people saying he's not even going to make the squad this year. So
I know.
We'll see. Jason, this was a great question last year when they drafted Matt Ariza. The big question mark: can he hold? Is he going to be able to hold? And it turned out to be that he can certainly hold. I mean, he didn't get a lot of chances. Obviously, he got cut, but I don't know. I don't have that much of a concern with that as maybe some do. Jake, what's your thoughts on these guys? I mean, I don't know if Jake Browning was the holder in college, but if he's not, why can't we have these quarterbacks, these backup quarterbacks? Like we didn't even talk about our quarterback room. By the way, our quarterback room better,
Oh yeah,
maybe
we're better,
better,
definitely better,
right? And why can't you have Mitch if you really had a concern about holding the ball? Mitch come in and hold it. I don't know if Mitch has done much of that, but what's your thoughts on Jake Brown and being able to hold for field goals?
They used to. It's crazy because it used to always be the backup quarterback, and
Yeah,
now they've transitioned to it being the punter. So the reasoning behind that, I'm not super keen on, to be honest with you. I feel like having a quarterback there in case there's a fire drill, like that's your best case scenario, right? This is a guy that can run scramble drill and maybe make a play, and you get a 2-point conversion at the worst, right? Or a first down if it's on fourth down. Jack Browning, I believe he did hold at San Diego State. So and that could be a reason why they brought him in. Matt Hawk, that's what he was actually known for, especially in Miami. He did some good things there. He actually had a fake punt run or fake field goal run for a touchdown and threw a touchdown pass too. So yeah, it's going to be an intriguing battle for sure.
maybe those quarterbacks are scared getting their hand kicked, right? Because have you ever held for a field goal? Like you and your friends, you're out there kicking field
Oh yeah,
goals.
I have. Yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
gotta
It's
really.
not always pretty.
It's a mental thing, right? You gotta like, oh God, is he gonna kick my hands? That's why, for Jonah, he was into that for a little bit. I bought one of the stands. I'm like, I'm not holding that. I'm not holding that ball for him because if he's off just the slightest, my hand's gonna be hurting. So we
And
bought
I'll
one of
tell you
those
what, the difference
stands.
between the NFL and college, like
Yeah,
it's like tenths of a second with the snap. And
yeah,
then you can even go farther and talk about hundredths of a second, and you could break down the best long snappers based on that snap speed and then the hold speed and being able to get laces out and all those things. So there is a lot that goes into it. So you can't just teach that to anyone.
yeah.
So a dude that's done it before obviously is advantageous here. But yeah, that's gonna be one to watch for sure. I love it. Punters, baby. Let's talk about it.
Truck, I love that you're saying you're aware that Bob Chandler, one of my favorites,
Oh yeah.
held. I didn't even know that. All I knew is I've seen Bob Chandler play. I was at the games. He was that dude on the sidelines or in the back of the end zone. Ferguson would throw it to him, and he'd have those toes, just tapping barely near the out of bounds. And he was fantastic. He got to go on and win a Super Bowl with the Raiders, and
Mhm.
his life was taken too short with cancer. But
Yeah.
Steve Tasker, I did not know that either. I don't think I've ever seen Steve hold, but I was not aware of that. Love it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. You know what else is interesting? So talking about another 89, did not play for the Bills, but the last non-quarterback holder, you probably won't know who this is, Mike, but played with the Rams. He was a former quarterback, converted to receiver in the NFL. Dane Looker played with the Rams. He held for Jeff Wilkins. This is back in like the mid 2000s, but that was the last non-quarterback / punter as a holder.
Heard of the
So
name?
good trivia. There you go.
Yeah, I heard of the name. Did not know he was the last holder. That was
Yeah,
not a quarterback or a punter.
great name. Number
But
wore 89 too. So great number.
good stuff there. So, Jake, I mean, again, I'm going to go back right in the show. My expectations are no different than they were last year. My expectations is that this team will make the playoffs, and anything can happen in the playoffs. Um, and so my sights still set on the Super Bowl. There's a lot of question marks, but I love the fact that we got much younger. And I want people out there to just get behind our team like Bills Mafia is known to do. And I will tell you one thing, they're going to bring us a lot of excitement this year, just like they do every year. This team's going to be exciting. We'll have the roller coasters. We seem to have that roller coaster ride every year. But the fact that we have Josh Allen and we still have a lot of good guys on this team and a lot of these rookies look to be good pieces. I'm excited, man. What's your thoughts?
I'm right there with you, Mike. Like we took a couple gut punches, right? We lost Mitch Morris, we lose Steph Diggs, but at the end of the day here, we got a general in charge, and this is a guy that's going to benefit a lot. I feel like in this transition period. This is a new era of Bills football. Maybe this new era brings us a ring. So I'm fired up, man. Yeah.
When you least expect it, something could happen, right? When you least expect it. So yeah, let people sleep on the Bills. Let them do it. That's what we want.
That's exactly where we need to be. This is where the Bills thrive. I feel like when they're in the media too much, things seem to go south, and I don't love that. So let's stay under the radar.
I can't wait for the schedule release. I know we're playing the Texans this year. That one's going to be circled on my calendar, man. I cannot wait. And I hope it's in Buffalo. Let Diggs come back.
I think it's
Buffalo.
Actually in Houston.
Oh, no. That's not cool. It's not cool.
Right.
Bring it back. So good stuff. So Jake, closing thoughts, man, and let's get out of here.
Yeah, closing thoughts. I mean, when we really broke it down here, like, is this team as bad as a lot of people are saying they are? I know the whole AFC definitely got better.
Yeah.
But like, we didn't get that much worse. I mean, the only position really in question, the two positions, wide receiver and safety. But again, we have some good returning players such as Dalton Kincaid that are going to take that next step. And we have other pieces on this offense that are going to contribute in different ways. And that production that we saw in previous years, it's going to be spread out a little differently. And I think it's still going to be there. It's going to be a different way of doing so. So I think you got to stay optimistic about this. Obviously, take everything with a grain of salt as we move forward here in the training camp. The camp battles will happen, but all we can do right now is just look at what's on paper. So I am optimistic, and I can't wait until September, Mike. Can't come soon enough.
I would love for everyone on the rewatch, and we're going to get some trolls. You watch, Jake.
We will.
You guys, man, you're homers. You lost Diggs. You lost Davis. You're Dunzo. Windows closed. We'll get those. But you know what? Yeah. We believe in this team, and we just went through each group, and some question marks. But I think special things could still happen. And when you have Josh Allen, and let's face it, Josh Allen, I don't care who you are, where you are, what team you follow. If you don't tell me Josh Allen's a top 3 quarterback in this league, don't even talk to me. Don't even put a comment in there. I'll just delete the comment. I'm just saying. Nah, I'm just kidding. we welcome all comments. We really do. And we love all fans.
We'll debate you. We'll definitely debate you.
We'll debate you for sure. But let us know your thoughts, even in the channel here. What is your expectation for this team? Are you just saying, nah, this is just a year we're not going to make the playoffs? Or what are you expecting? Besides excitement, because we know we're going to get that. Josh Allen and this team will bring us some excitement. We're going to see great games. I think the schedule, at least the teams that I think I saw that we're going to play, looks to be a harder schedule than last year. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yep.
But we'll see Thursday, and then hopefully we'll have our show on Friday, next Sunday. Again, I don't know. You guys on the AFC East Summon doing your show this Tuesday?
We are. It's going to be a very intriguing topic. It's going to be about public stadiums and the public funding for those stadiums. So Buffalo Bills hits very close to home. That stadium is going up every day. There's more progress being made on it, but all that money is coming from us.
2026 is when it's supposed to open. And Jake, do us a favor because you live really close by. Go by.
I got to take some pictures.
Take some pictures and let's bring it to the people next Sunday. Let's see what state that stadium is in. Can't wait. I'm going to do everything I can in 2026 to be there for the opening day. I'm hoping. That's what I'm going to try.
Wait till you hear about these prices.
Oh, I know, but
I'm just saying.
You have the connections, Jake.
I don't know. I don't know if I do.
Where's your boss? Where's Sammy V?
He'll let you know.
Sammy V, get us a box. Get us a box that we can all you can go to.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, get us some pictures. So that's cool.
Mortgage payment.
Well, if anything, shoot, I'll come down and I'll just be outside the stadium.
There we go. We could tailgate. Listen,
we can do that, right?
There's one thing we always win as Bills fans, and that is the tailgate. So, Mike, you come down for a tailgate. We'll show you a great time as always.
I mean, seriously, if the prices are that outrageous, I'll still be there. We'll just hang outside.
There you go.
And have a great time. We'll have the TV set up.
Yep.
It'll be like we're at our home, but we're right there hearing the crowd noise and stuff. That'd be awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you again. Once for those that watch this, catch us on the rewatch. I know some of you are going to think we're crazy. I can already see Sean's comments tomorrow. But we'll have some other fan bases out there saying we're absolutely crazy. But again, I want you to tell me what your expectations are for this Buffalo Bills. in the upcoming 2024 season. Until next time, everyone, take care, be safe, and go Bills.
Go Bills.